We've got our newbie, James Peck. Well, he's new to us. He's well practiced, I'm sure. From Atlanta, Georgia, he's going to present his comedy stylings that have been featured on Comcast On Demand. Performs at clubs and colleges across the country, or so it says here. Very well. Please welcome James Peck. Way to go.
One Mississippi,
Two Mississippi
is plenty. That's all we need. Joke works in 49 states. Alabama's like, we got it right the first time too, goddammit. Guys, I'm a smoker. I smoke cigarettes, and I hate when people come up to you like, oh, smoking's gonna give you cancer. I'm like, oh no, it's cool. I'm an Aries. Not really worried about that. I used to think smoking was like a great polite excuse to get out of awkward conversations, awkward situations. Like, oh, you have 9 cats. That's nice. I'm gonna go smoke a cigarette. It's a very nice, polite way to get out of that. But I was thinking about it more, and I'm basically saying, I'd rather fucking kill myself than be a part of this. As I hate playing chess with Australians, it's very confusing. Was that checkmate? Or my girlfriend is a massage therapist, which is pretty awesome, but it's not exactly, it's not like an Asian massage parlor kind of thing. I know this for 2 reasons. One, she's white, and 2, terrible hand jobs. Really? Are you sure you're not left-handed? I didn't ask for the deep tissue. I love her though. I love her, and we're getting. I pulled a pretty good prank on her the other day when I switched out her incense for a sparkler. Holy shit, the fear on her face. I've never felt so American. She's really cool. She makes us buy Tom's toothpaste, which I don't really have a problem with, but I had to put my foot down. I was like, look, I'm not buying deodorant for your brother, too. Guys, I have this really, really great quote about nihilism, but there's no point. Hide and go seek is the only time when it's appropriate to say the phrase, ready or not, here I come. Learned that one the hard way. We got a little puppy, his name is Oliver, and he's kind of rambunctious and a lot of puppy energy and everything. I'm not allowed to physically, abuse him or whatever. And so I do it verbally. And the other day he was acting up, and I was just getting really fed up, and I knew I couldn't hit him or anything. And so I just looked at him in the eye. I was like, Oliver, you're adopted. I know you're thinking, why would you tell a puppy he's adopted? He'll figure it out sooner or later. But I did. And I could tell that he totally understood and hurt. And he whimpered off. It was really sad, and I felt bad about it. Until a week later, Natalie was getting on to him for something, and he just was not listening. He's like, whatever, you're not my real mom. Dad told me everything. I was reading a study, and apparently men who were in the Boy Scouts when they were younger, they're married, they never get divorced. Isn't that a pretty strange fact? They never get divorced. I can only assume when they tie the knot, they use a double fisherman's. I don't like to-do lists either, because I always feel bad when I get to cross everything off. So I just make a list of things that I've already done. It's called my to-do list. stand-up comedy is definitely a cool career path kind of thing. I mean, I know I want to, do it forever because I love it and because I didn't get into college. I'm really banking on this. But it doesn't pay super well. Like, I don't know if you know this, like a lot of times for stand-up comedy, you get paid in chicken wings. Yeah. But it's cool because sometimes you guys, you get paid in chicken wings. And it's awesome. Usually depends on how much weed you've had that day, but I don't know. I do need to start making a lot more money. My girlfriend makes way more money than I do since I taught her how to give a hand job. I teach tennis. That's kind of my day job. I teach tennis to elementary school, middle school kids, and they're really a lot of fun. The other day I was teaching them how to keep score in a game of tennis, and I'll teach you fine folks as well. So repeat after me. Love.
Love.
15.
15.
30.
30.
40.
40.
Game.
Yay.
And that's how you keep scoring a game in tennis. Love, 15, 30, 40. Game. Love, 15, 30, 40. Game. Now at the end of the practice, the kids have a chance to win a piece of candy if they answer a question correctly. So I got them all lined up, grilling them on how to keep score. Just going down the line. I was like, what comes after love? And this little boy looks up and he's like, divorce? Take 2 pieces. I'm sorry your dad wasn't in the Boy Scouts. All right, well, thank you guys.
Dear Continental Airlines, I am disgusted as I write this note to you about the miserable experience I am having sitting in seat 29E on one of your aircrafts. As you may know, this seat is situated directly across from the lavatory, so close that I can reach my left arm and touch the door. All of my senses are being tortured simultaneously. It is difficult to say what the worst part about sitting in seat 29 is. It the stench of the sanitation fluid that's blown all over my body every 60 seconds when the door opens? Is it the whoosh of the constant talking? Or is it the passengers' asses that seem to fit into my personal space like a pornographic jigsaw puzzle? I constructed a stink shield by shoving one end of a blanket into the overhead compartment, while effective in blocking at least some and offering a small bit of privacy, the ass on my body factor has increased, as without my passengers feel free to lean up against what they think is some kind of blanketed wall. The next ass that touches my shoulder will be the last.
I'm picturing a boardroom full of executives giving props to the young, promising engineer that figured out how to squeeze an additional row of seats onto the plane by putting them next to the lab. I would like to flush his head in the toilet. Putting a seat here is a very bad idea. This sucks. Worse yet, I've paid over $400 for the honor of sitting in this seat. I'd like to go back to where I came from and start over. Worse if it was located inside the bathroom.
I wonder if my clothing will retain this sanitizing odor. What about my hair? Oh, my hair. I feel like I'm bathing in a toilet bowl of blue liquid, and there is no man in a little boat to save me. I am filled with a deep hatred for your plane designer, Continental Airlines, and a general disease that may last for more hours. We are finally descending, and soon I will be able to tear down the stink shield, but the scars will remain. I suggest that you initiate immediate removal of this seat from all of your crafts. Just remove it and leave the smoldering brown hole empty. A good place for sturdy, non-absorbing luggage, maybe, but not human cargo. Yours truly, Winfred C. Thompson, the 14th.
Is that really a real letter? All right, one of our newest members has become quite the loyalist for Julesworks, and he's going to be singing a song. Do you need a microphone, sir? Okay, Ethan Parrott, ladies and gentlemen.
All right.
Yeah? Is it
What?
good, Julesworks? Yeah. All right, let's make it even more fun. This song is called Leftovers. It's by Johnny Flynn. I've been drooling over some mangy scraps of bread, and these hungry voices make a lot of noise inside my head. Show me the way to the rubbish dump of the bins at closing time. I'd walk a mile just to catch a smile from fish without its pride. Been wandering around the underground, found a couple of crumbs down there. Was lucky and got some flotsam from a girl with long brown hair. She said her name was Mary May and she liked the springtime most. She said she left her meals half wet. She said she left the crust off the toast. Leftovers is what I want, don't need no fine cuisine. Give me a dime for a bacon rind or slip me some of that old sardine. She said bring your dark eyes, honey, and I said you bring yours. She said I don't take second glances, she walked out the door. I walked out and waved her down and asked her why she left. She said she only takes leftovers. All else felt like theft. Leftovers is what I want. Don't need no fine cuisine. Give me a dime for a bacon rind or slip me some of that old sardine. Leftovers is what I want, don't need no fine cuisine. Give me a dime for a bacon rind or slip me some of that old sardine.
Up next is very talented author, actress, top bird, Christine McKenzie.
This is actually a science fiction book that I wrote. And here's a little excerpt about a discussion about our obsession with modern technology and how it can go terribly wrong. Funny that you should mention that our human technology isn't advanced as we think it should be, Solar said. You've got a point there. For instance, I have a fully automated, super modernized and technologically advanced smart house in Florida. Even my vehicle is a so-called smart car. Like if I say the word car, it comes from the garage to my front door. My VW is fully computerized and does everything on voice command. It even talks back and guides me. It knows how to read maps and so on. In my house, everything is coded and voice activated from the front door to the coffee maker. The taps, the light switches, the curtains, whatever, you name it. And here comes the not so hilarious part. Solar paid full attention and was absolutely fascinated. Of course, he knew it was coming as he could read her mind. But he wanted to actually hear her say the words and hung on every one. She got into it, knowing full well that she had a great attentive listener. Before I left my fully automated smart home in Cape Canaveral, Florida, to work in California at the Jet Propulsion Lab, I once got locked into my house by a hacker. It turned out to be a young girl, all of 13, who had hacked her way accidentally into my organized, computerized life. And she decided, might as as well have a little fun and create a little havoc. She changed the commands I had programmed into my smart home completely. For instance, she commanded the ice maker in my fridge to produce ice cubes 24/7, and I couldn't turn the damn thing off. After I was locked in for 5 days straight, the kid made the bathwater run for 3 hours one evening, and I was unable to shut it off. My rubber duck came floating down the hallway. What a flood! Oh my God, and the coffee machine kept saying, "Your cappuccino is now ready. Your cappuccino is now ready." The coffee maker didn't work. It needed the garage door opener, and when I called for the car, it broke through it. It was a wooden roll-up door, and it just hung there in splinters. It was driving me crazy. The alarm was going non-stop, and I began thinking that my whole modern, sophisticated, computerized lifestyle was now totally obliterated just like that. Simply ruined. My supposedly foolproof system had gone haywire. Well, and how did you fix it? I had to call the guy who did all the programming with me, and he set the central computer in the first place. He had to come out all the way from Miami. That super smart central house computer knows all my particulars. It contains and stores personal information, locks and opens all the cabinets containing files, and is programmed to respond precisely to all commands. But yeah, it performs various functions and thus had never failed me. So he had to come back to wipe everything clear and start with a clean slate. The Internet Intelligence Police finally found this wayward girl. She was a teen from Soho in London, England. What a nightmare, can you imagine? Poor thing, he said. And she said, "Well, wipe that silly smirk off your face." And how did it end? I was completely devastated. I lay down on the lawn in my pajamas and beat the grass with all the neighbors standing around saying, "Can you at least shut off the effing alarm system?" I couldn't. That's my story.
Christine McKenzie.
And now we're going to see Watts Waller again, and Jules calls him the only real vaudeville in Santa Fe.
The last song I sang was a song by Clarence Williams. He's an old blues songwriter. Another one that he did. Pretty sure if my grandmother could sing a song to my grandfather, she would sing this one. You so ugly, yeah, you so ugly, you some ugly child. Yeah, the clothes you wear are not in style. You look like an ape every time you smile. Yes, I hate you, alligator bait you, the homeliest thing I ever saw. You knock-kneed, pigeon-toed, and box-anchored too. There's a curse on your family and it fell on you. Your hair is nappy, who's your pappy? You some ugly child. There's a curse on your family and it fell on you. Your teeth are yellow, who's your fella? You're some ugly child. Yeah, you some ugly child. Clarence Williams.
And this is Democracy Later with host Amy Rudman with Leticia, Tom, Sibley, Stephen Rommel, Daniel Tarango, Sylvan, and Stephen Jules.
Say.
Well, no. And here in the studio is my co-host, Juan Rubin.
Say.
Thank you for joining us. I'll begin with the current news in case you haven't noticed or you weren't in New York last week. About over 400,000 people showed to march for the climate, to save the earth. And the mainstream media completely ignore that, except to point out that they left a lot of garbage. So far, the number of those dying from the Ebola virus is over 1 million, but nobody cares because we're too busy bombing ISIS, or ISIL as you people may call it. In D.C., there are the 15 anti-gay politicians who were caught in homosexual acts with their Bibles. There's also a recent wave of domestic violence in professional sports, which has led the NFL to recommend concussion-proof helmets for the players' wives. No te rías, Juan.
Hello.
No laughing, Juan. And today's topics are the fight for the legalization of marijuana. Joining us is Sunshiny Day. From the group Potheads Without Borders, Sarah Palin, who works for Fox Network and is for the castration and execution of all pot smokers, even recreational ones. Also joining us is former Lady Hillary Clinton, who is undecided towards the issue, but wants to get the liberal weed smoker pot now that she's running for president. But first, we begin our interview with President of the Russian Federation, Vladimir Putin, whose recent invasion of the Ukraine and domestic human rights violations has stirred up a That was very uncalled for, Mrs. Vladimir.
Well,
You do know that this is a radio station.
yes, but it is for the camels. My people need me
Anyway,
to ride horses. There are also people.
glad to have you with us today to answer some pressing questions.
I'm glad to be here in this country of yours, Miss Amy.
Let's start with the Ukraine, shall we?
Yes.
You have recently been condemned by the West for your invasion of Crimea. Now, you plan to take further action, such as bombing the East Ukraine?
Well, we would never bomb our own country, Amy.
Okay, so you make claims that you are about to protect the ethnic Russian people living in these regions, but what about the Ukrainian state and its people?
Well, there is something you need to know, Miss Rubin, and all of you, is that there is no Ukrainian people. In Ukraine, there are only Russian people and dead people.
I shot a moose. I shot a moose.
Yes, we know.
Okay. Mr. Putin, some critics have asserted that you're trying to rebuild the former Russian Empire by restarting an arms and technology race with the United States. What are your intentions regarding this?
Well, I do not want to make another Cold War, but I do intend to make competition. So, yes. You intend to make competition. Like you impressed me recently, Americans, though. We may have put the first monkey in space, but you put first monkey in the White House.
That's a bit racist, and it leads us right into our last question. You've been accused of bigotry, civil rights violations, resulting in mass protests at the recent Olympics. Now, how do you respond to critics for your persecution of gays?
Well, there's also something you need to know, Amy, and that is there are no gay people in Russia. Everyone is miserable.
Well, there you have it. President Vladimir Putin of the Russian Federation weighing in. Joining us next is Sunshiny Day from Potheads Without Borders regarding the legalization of marijuana. Should I call you Dave or do you prefer Sunshine?
Oh, like whatever you want to call me is cool, man. My friends call me Sunny D for short.
Very well, Sunny D. Now, what motivates you to fight this uphill battle?
Life, Amy. It's like life is an uphill battle. Plus the tremendous highs I get from it.
Do you think that the legalization of marijuana in the United States will be achieved in your lifetime? Sol de. That's how you say sunny D in Spanish, ¿sabes?
Gracias, amigo. I learned a little Spanish picking up a pound in Mexico. But back to the topic. I think, like, we can legalize it if we organize the way those people in New York that were marching for global warming did.
What? There's no evidence of global warming. Besides, pot smoke is just vapors reaching up from us from hell. The dinosaurs smoked pot, and they were extinct before they knew it. That's why we invented cars.
Oh, yes, I know not what you talk about, Felon, but staring at your fake boobs gives me great pleasure. Yeah, I'd like to rub my Caspian dolphin against them.
We're getting off the subject, gentlemen. Colorado has legalized.
Colorado.
Yes. Thank you. Colorado has legalized marijuana.
Marijuana.
Marijuana, if you want to say it in Spanish. What's the next state you think may go the way of Colorado?
It's not for me.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe like, I don't know, Alaska or Hawaii and Puerto Rico.
Sol de. Puerto Rico no es un estado.
Puerto Rico is a U.S. colony. I mean, protectorate. Rubin, are you Puerto Rican?
No, everybody hates Boricua. Soy cubano, pero no communist.
Of course you are. Oh, once a communist, always a
Hey,
communist.
Tu madre.
What is wrong with that communism? I don't insult you for being right-wing transvestite, eh?
Mr. Bing, I interrupt and I ask the questions here. So, shush. I admit she does look like a right-wing transvestite, but let's get on with the show. What are your plans to convince people to follow your movement, Sunny D?
We're gonna make like a zillion brownies and cookies and distribute them all over because, you know, people love sugar high.
Oh, sí, adoro la azúcar.
I often go to Amsterdam for hookers and weed, yeah? You come with me someday. I invite the Obama, but it's Michelle the Battle Axe does not let him go.
Where do you stand on this issue, Hillary?
Well, I haven't decided on that, Amy. Usually when I take a stand on something, I like to have my bondage gear with me. Plus, I'll have to ask my advisors. So I'll get back on you on that.
Is this why it took you so long to tell the public you'd be running for president?
I'll get back on you when the polls tell me what to say.
Hey, ex-lady, I bet you never tried a cookie or a brownie. Why don't we go outside and have one?
That's illegal!
Oh, ex-lady, get over it and step into the unknown. Mr. Putin will join us.
I sure will. I will even fund your potheads with that photos to jargon of Obama.
Won't somebody please think of the children?
What children?
The children who watch my show on Fox, and the fetuses who haven't been born yet?
But it's good for the children.
Yay.
They'll be happy and grow up to be like me.
Oh, sí. Ay, los niños. Are you thinking of legalizing marijuana in Russia, Mr. Putin, señor presidente?
My leading scientists now say it cures their homosexuality, so yes.
Ah, para la homosexualidad de los gays.
Again, we're getting off topic.
Oh, Amy, stop interrupting. You can join us too. After the show, we can relax and I'll give you a massage with my homemade oils I produce with my own body.
Liberals are all the same, just waiting to do drugs and have sex. The only cure for liberals is a good, slow, lethal injection. One day we'll put you all to death.
It works very well in Russia.
Why don't you try it, Miss Palin?
The America I know is not one and love is not one in which my baby with Down syndrome will ever grow up to smoke pot. You liberals are turning us into an evil, gadless society.
What do you mean? What do you mean evil? Sunny D here is only trying to decriminalize weed. Isn't he doing society a favor?
I sure am. My group is on a journey to alter people's consciousness. You know, like legalize it. Don't criticize it.
And you use leftist programs like this to spread your lies. That's why the First Amendment is our violation of our freedom of the press.
Oh, porque hablas así? That's funny y falso. This is a serious show. Let's not get into who violates what.
Hey, you know, let us get into it, yeah? You got Frio and Fox? Is it because you and Murdoch are close? Oh, do you make sex then, maybe, eh? I fund it. I would like to rub my dolphin, eh?
Well, it's a good thing I got all I need to fluctuate our unconsciousness. So, I hope you and your listeners join my group.
Oh, well, on that note, we have things to do behind the scenes. So, gentlemen, let us go relax, enjoy ourselves, and reach a higher ground. Thanks to all our listeners for putting up with us. To Juan, my partner in crime.
Hey.
And to
Legalize it.
Legalize it.
everybody at the Pacific staff.
Aha! Goodness gracious. Ethan. Ethan. Is this just called hot Kool-Aid? Because that's what it says on my program. This will be Sabina and Ethan, originally a Julian Smith number. From the YouTubes? Woohoo! Question mark?
Yes.
Okay.
Morning, sister.
Oh, brother.
Made a pot of Kool-Aid?
You don't make a pot of Kool-Aid.
Well, I did.
Is it hot?
Maybe, maybe not.
It's hot, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hot Kool-Aid.
Oh, I could put some ice in it if you like.
I don't think I'm not thirsty.
Sister,
I'm not gonna drink it.
I made this for you.
No.
Drink it.
No.
I want you to drink this.
I'm not gonna drink it.
Drink it right now. I'll pour it on the floor and I'll blame it on you.
Oh yeah, be mature.
You drink this right now.
I just grow up.
I've made this because I love you.
I'm not gonna drink it.
I hate you.
Oh, that's not like you anymore. Sister, try this. Sister, try that. What was it? That was that one thing. Cinnamon toast and what was it?
Mayonnaise.
Mayonnaise.
It was a good
You
idea.
didn't make a single pound.
I made a pound of cinnamon toast and mayonnaise.
Oh yeah, and what was the last time? Rocky Road, Tabasco, right? There was 3 people hospitalized. 3 women hospitalized.
You drink this right now.
Drink your own hot Kool-Aid.
There's so much of it left. What am I going to do with all this hot Kool-Aid?
Drink it.
No!
Yes.
No! Sister. Please. Drink my hot Kool-Aid.
Okay.
All right?
Right.
Sylvan returns with more of his unique take on traditional native storytelling.
I usually tell stories about random encounters I get into or stories that I grew up on. And you've been in New Mexico, and since we have people here who's also experienced in New Mexico, I'm born and bred in New Mexico, so a lot of stories that I tell come from New Mexico. And since now we're starting to see a lot of Halloween decorations and masks being on sale, and it's that exciting time of the year when everyone's getting excited for Halloween, so I decided to share creepy Halloween, I guess, native story for everyone here.
Nice.
just to get everyone ready for Halloween, get you in the mood for creepiness. But I'm gonna definitely share native style to New Mexico style. This is everyone tells scary stories of ghouly monsters, spooky witches and ghosts, which is everyone's familiar with. But here we have our own sort of monsters, our own sort of witches and ghosts and goblins, and I'm gonna tell you the story of one. And it's also partially, well, depending on who you hear it from, it's based on true events. So I guess I can say inspired by true events. I'm sure you guys are all familiar with the Salem witch trials that happened in Salem, which not many people know is here in the Southwest we sort of had our own version of the Salem witch trial here in New Mexico on the Navajo reservation. And in history they call it the Witch Purge of 1878. And the people who tell those stories, which the people, the community, the family that I come from, they were doing the purging, so of course they're the ones who passed down the story. And like the Salem witch trials, you'd be like, why would they do this? Why would they do that? But I guess someone would ask, why would your great-great-grandparents, why would they do all this to these people, hunt them down? They would hunt down anyone suspected of being a witch, what they call a skinwalker, Yenatloshi, which are shapeshifters, which are psychotic, which are devilish ghouls, except they use body parts from animals. That's why when you smell something bad that's following you around, it's usually because there's a skinwalker. Yenatloshi or a witch, there's one nearby, and they're wearing the skin of the dead, and they follow you because they need, they say part of the recipe of their curses involve human appendages, from the powder bones to fingers to your hair. So they need, all they want is just to haunt you. And so they hunted down all these people on the reservation. And the Indian agent, the government guy who was involved of trying to keep the peace around the natives, knew about this, but he didn't do anything because he said that's an Indian problem. The government agent guy only comes in when they're causing problems with everyone else. But it was an interior native conflict that was going on, so he just let them do whatever. They would hunt down people into caves and find them and cut off their heads and burn their bodies, and inside their caves or homes or hideouts they would find numerous designs and forbidden scriptures kind of written on the cave walls and body parts. And the reason why what led to this is stories of what happened to people. Originally, Yenatloshi skinwalkers were meant for warfare. When you're fighting somebody, you send your witch, you send your shapeshifter, you send them in to go for Pacific people. But when the treaty was signed in 1868, there was no reason for them. So it's like there was no use for them. And now they're have to be confined in small places, and they're like, it's what they do. So they end up turning on their own people, and that led to people hunting them down in the witch purge. And I'm going to share you a story that was told through that happened around this area, where it was probably around this time. It was pretty cold. Family, mother and father, and they had 2 daughters. They're at their home when they're Hogan. It's a very kind of circular home with a wooden door, and it's like sand on top of the mountain as a roof. And it was an emergency call to the parents, and of course they had to go because father had all the medicines. He was like, I can help heal these people, so they had to go. So they had to go quick. Someone got hurt far, and they told their daughters, "You definitely got to stay here. It's, there's always people, bandits, trying to take down lone parties." And so they said they will confine you within the Hogan, and we'll be back soon. Hopefully, we'll be back by sunup. And back then there was they didn't really have, they had doors, but they didn't put up for a specific time of the year. And since it was a last minute call, the mother sewed a rug. She sewed all the way around the entrance. She sold it. She sewed and weaved all the way around so no coyotes or intruders will come in. And they had to leave quick. And then the two little girls, so there was an older sister and a younger sister, and they were sleeping, and next thing you know, they said, you can hear like howling in the outside, and then whooping and growling, and then they started to realize, it's like, there must be, then you can smell them, the smell of dead carcass is just like kind of seeping through the cracks of the hogan, seeping in, and they're kind of throwing rocks, and they're banging on the walls and howling, and the older sister was getting scared. The little sister was crying, and she told her little sister, she says, don't cry. You're never supposed to cry. Growing up, they tell you, never cry at night, because that's when they hear you. When you cry at night, they'll come for you if they can smell your tears. And so she was telling her little sister, don't cry. And so in these hogans, there's these specific structures on the top that where there's logs stacked on one another until it gets to this tiny hole. And within these logs, she was small enough to fit in between these logs to the roof. And she gave her some a medicine bag. She said, they're not going to find you with this. Hold on to this and then just stay quiet. No matter what happens, stay quiet. Don't come down. No matter what you hear until the sun comes up. And so the younger sister stayed up there. And the older sister, she was too tall. She couldn't hide up there. So she had to find some place beneath the rug. And meanwhile, they looked at the door, and then already there's something reaching into the rug, and it was kind of pushing in, and then it started cutting open, then the hole started opening, and the older sister hid beneath some blankets, and finally, the younger sister, she's on top, and she can hear like the rug tearing apart, and next you know, she gets the stench of dead carcass was just getting stronger and stronger, and she kept preventing herself from crying, and then she hears all these banging and thrashing around. She hears things being thrown around. Next thing you know, she hears her older sister screaming, and she can hear like multiple people just like dragging her older sister, and she's crying and tell her stop and go away. And they drag her outside until her voice muffles, and at that moment you just hear her sister screaming, and all of a sudden it stops. There's no screaming. And then a moment after, they start coming in, they start looking for her. And they start looking around the place. They were looking in all the corners, inside boxes, and then they couldn't find her. They start thrashing the place, throwing things around. And she was just in fear. She just stood still, did exactly what she was told. And somewhere in the night, she just kind of just dozed off. She just blacked out. And next you know, she wakes up, and it's like she can kind of see the light. Everything's light blue, and it's really cold morning air is coming in. And she figures it's like the sun's coming up, now's her chance for her to leave. So she had to push herself to get down from the roof. She jumps down, she runs to the livestock, and she gets straight on the horse. And she like jumps the horse out of the corral, and she takes off. And while she's riding, she looks back, because she wants to take one last look at what's going on. And there's these shadowy figures, this kind of coming out from behind the hogan and start looking. They see her. Next thing you know, they go on fours, and then they all start running at her. And she just kept kicking her horse. She just kept saying, go, go. She kept holding on to the hair tighter and tighter. And next you know, they were just right behind her. The stench was getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And they were reaching for the horse's tail to drag it down, to slow it down. But if you notice, certain natives braid the back of a horse's tail, so they couldn't reach it. The horse's tail was braided. So the horse kept going, and then the stench was getting lighter and lighter, and so she was, the lighter the stench went, the harder she kicked her horse. She knew she was almost there, and she kept going and had her eyes closed the whole time, and she kept the horse running until the stench was gone. And by that, and she kind of calmed down. She couldn't smell them, so she directed her to the nearest person who lived nearby, which in the rural areas back in the old times, people lived kind of horse rides away. She finally got some people, and then parents came back, and they all sent some scouts to go back, and they went back to the old hogan, and the livestock were all dead. They just killed them and left them to bleed, and they went inside the hogan, and everything was a mess, except in the central of the hogan, there was usually a fire stove. It was like the decapitated head of the older sister. And then they came out, and they were looking at them, and behind the hogan, they found like a torso. and then she was missing her bandages. And then they saw tracks that went from east, one went west, one went south, north. And so they went ahead and said, well, send out a hunting party. They went out and ended up finding her hands in some trees, and another party found her feet in some other trees. And the younger sister grew up and was able to tell these stories and remind people the extreme things that happen to families, from crazed witches that used to go around and which created this hunting purge in 1878. If you look into it, if you want to read more into it, know that things in the Southwest, scary stories we've grown up on, really happened. So I hope you guys can sleep good.